It all happened tonight of all nights. I was restless, sinking into boredom as I idly chatted with people on SMWC. The usual banter and laughs filled the air, but something about the monotony nagged at me. I needed something, anything, to shake me out of it. That's when I decided to patrol the hacks waiting to be moderated section, a small ritual of sorts to kill time. There were quite a few, 33 if memory serves, and as I sorted them by date, the first few were horrendous. Amateur hacks with cringeworthy screenshots. Naturally, I shared them with the others in the chat, and we had a good laugh. But then I stumbled upon something that made me pause. A hack simply titled Mario. No subtitle. No flair. Just Mario. The description was unsettlingly strange, almost as if someone had taken the original plot of Super Mario World and fed it through a broken translation filter. It read, "As you play the role of Super Mario Plumber, verify that you are beautiful Peanuts toasted to again Bowser kidnap the evil king. It is your job to save her." This hack includes 6 levels of very long. I showed it to Kieran, and he burst out laughing at the absurdity. We dismissed it as a poor attempt by some wannabe hacker to be clever. But something about it tugged at my curiosity. I decided to download it, not knowing how deeply I'd regret that decision. The single screenshot provided was the title screen. The word Mario lifted directly from Super Mario World's logo. Nothing else. No dates, no credits. Odd, since most hackers like to stamp their names and dates on their work. I shrugged it off as laziness or incompetence. The download contained 2 files. A text document labeled 3714, 27 kilobytes in size, and an IPS file simply titled Mario. My first instinct was to open the text file, hoping to glean some insight. But what I found was wrong. Inside was nothing but jumbled symbols, letters, and punctuation. A mess resembling the garbled nonsense you'd get from opening a ROM file in Notepad. But amidst the chaos, a chilling fragment stood out. "Find me, find me, find me, find me," 4 words, repeated over and over again, buried within the gibberish. I stared at them, unease prickling at the back of my neck. It felt like someone, or something, was reaching through the screen, whispering directly to me. I almost closed it right then and there, but morbid curiosity got the better of me. I rummaged through my downloads folder, looking for a clean ROM and my trusty patching tool, Luna IPS. Once everything was in place, I patched the ROM and opened it in ZSNES, bracing myself for whatever bizarre creation awaited. The hack booted up, and immediately I noticed something off. The usual Super Mario World header was gone, replaced by the word Mario. Plain, stark, devoid of any life or charm. It was a subtle change, but it sent a shiver down my spine. Whoever made this wasn't entirely clueless. They knew what they were doing. The title screen loaded, eerily identical to the original, save for the absence of Layer 3 tiles and Mario's usual vibrant color palette. Instead, his sprite appeared dull, lifeless, as if someone had drained the joy out of him pixel by pixel. At that moment, I hesitated. Something was wrong with this hack, but I couldn't look away. I had to see more. The colors felt wrong. What was once the bright red and blue of Mario's outfit was now dull and muted. His overalls, once a vivid blue, seemed gray with a faint, sickly red tint, as if the life had been drained out of him. Something about this palette wasn't just odd, it was unnerving. It wasn't bad design, it was deliberate. I pressed start, selecting a new file, curious but uneasy. Like most Mario hacks, a short introductory text explained the plot in a single black box. At first glance, it seemed standard, but then I caught the deviation, a twist that made my stomach knot. The antagonist wasn't Bowser, it was Mario. The text read, "Welcome, this is Dinosaur Land. In this strange land, we find that Princess Toadstool is missing again. Looks like Mario is at it again." I blinked, rereading the lines. Mario is at it again? That wasn't the original message. Normally, I wouldn't overthink it. Hacks often played with intro text, but this felt personal, like it was directed at me. Something wasn't right. The intro music looped faintly in the background, an unsettling echo in my ears. I hesitated, then pressed start again, entering the overworld. At first glance, it was unchanged, same familiar paths, same cheery music. But then I noticed the level names. Where Yoshi's house should have been, it simply read, Yoshi's, no house, no welcoming vibe, just an incomplete, hollow name. I entered the level, hoping for something new, or maybe dreading it. Yoshi's house was gone. No smoke, no fire, no chirping birds, no cheerful treehouse. It was empty, barren. The only thing left was a message box. I hit it, expecting the usual friendly note. Instead, the box displayed binary. Indecipherable, alien. My pulse quickened as I stared at it, unease growing like a shadow behind me. I shared my findings on IRC, recounting the eerie emptiness and strange text. Sarcasm and jokes filled the responses, expected but no less frustrating. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that something in the hack wanted me to keep going. So, I did. I moved left, toward what was once Yoshi's Island 1. The level name now read, Never Come Back. The ominous warning made me hesitate. Normally, such names and hacks signaled Kaizo-style death traps. But this wasn't that kind of hack. I entered. The instant I did, the screen exploded with a deafening screech. The clown car sound from Bowser's boss battles played at an ear-splitting volume. My headphones, set too high, amplified the terror. I ripped them off, heart pounding. It wasn't just the sound. It was the timing, like it had been waiting for me. After steadying myself, I turned the volume down and pressed on. The level itself seemed eerily normal at first, but something was missing. The sliding Koopa was gone. The bonsai bill that should have launched toward me was absent. Even the dragon coins were there, but I couldn't collect them. I tried jumping into one. Nothing. They were locked, untouchable. A brown used block sat where the bonsai bill normally spawned, as though someone had played this level before me, altering it. It wasn't an unfamiliar idea. Stories of revisited levels in creepy hacks had circulated online. But this was different. This was intentional, and it felt malicious. The further I progressed, the more the unease grew. It was like the game was aware of me, waiting to reveal whatever horrors lay ahead. My thoughts spiraled as I pushed forward. Why was the game like this? The intro message haunted me. Had Mario done something terrible in Dinosaur Land? Could this be told from Bowser's perspective? Twisted and grim? That seemed absurd, so I dismissed it. But then, what had Mario done? The hack felt heavy with implication, and my curiosity fought against my growing unease. I pressed on, venturing deeper into the level. Everything was wrong. Blocks were already hit, coins collected. Except for the dragon coins, still there, still untouchable. No enemies. No pipes to enter. The emptiness pressed against me like a weight. What kind of hack is this? I wondered as I trudged forward. Eventually, I came across a message box. Of course, it was still here. Against my better judgment, I hit it. The text inside was simple yet chilling. Point of advice. I hate you. A chill ran down my spine. Who hates me? The hack's author? Mario himself? At this point, I couldn't tell what was real or fabricated. This felt personal, unsettlingly so. The twisted atmosphere wrapped around me like a suffocating fog. I pushed forward, determined to reach the end of the level. Along the way, another message box appeared. This one, though, was blank. Just point of advice at the top, mocking me with its silence. I ignored it and moved on. Finally, I reached the end of the level, where the familiar four-way block intersection used to be. There was a fire flower placed too high to reach by any normal means. I stared at it briefly, but the oppressive feeling of the hack urged me onward. I passed the finish line, unlocking the path to the yellow Switch Palace. When I entered the overworld, I froze. Every landmass and decoration beyond Yoshi's Island was gone. The map was barren, save for the ghost house sprites hovering ominously. Reluctantly, I entered the yellow Switch Palace. Nothing had changed except the message. The text now read, Mario World. Boring. The emptiness clawed at me. I backed out to the map, only to find that Yoshi's Island 2 had been edited. Its name was now Yoshi's House. The hack wasn't done with me yet. I entered the level, and everything had changed. The bright palette was gone, replaced by the sickly greenish-tan hues of Yoshi's Island 3. The background was a rotten brown, pushed down awkwardly, as though collapsing under its weight. The once lush vegetation was stripped away, leaving barren, lifeless terrain. I ventured further, eventually encountering the Trail of Koopa, usually a prime spot to rack up extra lives with shells. But I ignored them, too focused on unraveling this twisted mystery. Then I found the question block that held Yoshi. Nervously, I hit it. Yoshi emerged and the familiar fanfare played. But instead of the cheerful message I expected, I got this. Hooray! Thank you for rescuing me. My name is Yoshi. On my way to rescue my friends, Mario trapped me in that egg. I stared at the screen, my mind racing. What kind of sick, twisted hack is this? The implications were horrifying. Mario, not the hero but the villain, wreaking havoc on Dinosaur Land. Every step deeper into the hack felt like stepping further into someone's demented mind. I was hooked, unable to stop despite the creeping dread. Not far from Yoshi's block, I found another message box. It sat exactly where I remembered it from the original level. But if this hack had taught me anything, it was that the contents would be far from normal. I hesitated, my finger hovering over the button. I knew I shouldn't. I knew it wouldn't be good, but the need to uncover more consumed me. I hit it. The message read, You shouldn't be here. A wave of cold ran through me. The words didn't feel like they were directed at Mario or the character on the screen. They felt aimed directly at me. I tried to shake the feeling off, but the seed of doubt had been planted. Was I making a mistake continuing this? Should I stop? But my curiosity was relentless. Despite my hesitation, I pressed on, emerging back into the overworld. The path to the next level, Yoshi's Island 4, was open, now renamed to a chilling Leave Now. I stared at the screen. My hands hesitated over the controls. Was this a final warning? A plea? Or just a part of the hack's warped mind games? I couldn't tell. I entered. The level was eerie in its emptiness. The once familiar pools of water were gone, leaving the pits yawning wide and endless. The enemies were missing. The level stretched on, silent and void. When I encountered what should have been an impossible gap to cross, I realized something horrifying. Mario could now walk on air, as though the hack itself demanded I keep Yoshi safe at all costs. Why? The oppressive atmosphere tightened around me as I reached the final pipe. Everything seemed normal at first glance. The layout was unchanged, the exit pipe still in place. But I knew better by now. Sure enough, there was another message box. I approached it cautiously, my stomach churning. Why am I doing this? I thought. My hands trembled, but I hit it anyway. The text read, What are you trying to prove? I felt the weight of the words. They weren't just in the game anymore. They were in my head. I wasn't sure if I was proving something to myself, to the hack, or to whoever had created this twisted monstrosity. But I couldn't stop. The exit pipe loomed ahead. I hesitated, but I entered it. Emerging on the other side, the level completed with no fanfare, no music, just an empty, desolate overworld waiting for me. The next level had unlocked. Its name read simply, Why? And as I stared at it, I couldn't help but wonder the same thing. Why am I still playing this? As I was taken back to the overworld map, or rather, what was left of it, I noticed that everything was gone. The familiar layout of Dinosaur Land was now replaced with a vast, empty void. The music had ceased entirely, leaving me with nothing but the faint hum of my console's hardware. The only thing left on the map was Mario, standing on a single tile. No new paths opened, and there were no level names left to guide me. Just the oppressive silence and a single blinking cursor over the empty tile. I pressed the button to enter. The screen faded to black, and for a moment, I thought the game had glitched out entirely. But then, faintly, I began to hear something. It wasn't music, but rather an irregular, distorted hum, like something was trying to form a melody but couldn't quite manage it. The screen remained dark for what felt like an eternity before a small text box appeared. "It's too late now." I sat there, staring at the screen, unsure of what to do. The text box disappeared, and the screen slowly faded into a new scene, a single room. Mario was standing alone in the middle of what appeared to be a broken, decrepit version of Peach's castle. The walls were cracked, the windows shattered, and the floor was littered with rubble. There were no enemies, no power-ups, and no way to exit. I moved Mario forward cautiously. His footsteps echoed eerily in the empty castle. Then, as I approached the far end of the room, another message box appeared. "You knew what you were getting into." My heart sank. I couldn't tell if it was a hack addressing me, or if it was some sort of twisted message meant for Mario. I continued forward, and as I did, the screen began to glitch. Mario's sprite flickered, distorting slightly with each step. The walls seemed to shift and warp, as though the game world itself was decaying around me. Another message box appeared, this time unprompted. "You can't undo what's been done." The screen glitched violently as the message disappeared, and the distorted hum grew louder. Then, suddenly, the screen went completely black again. For a moment, I thought the hack had ended. But then, one final message box appeared in the darkness. "This is your fault." And with that, the game crashed. I sat there in silence, staring at the frozen screen, unsure of what to think. The hack had left me with more questions than answers, a lingering sense of dread, and an overwhelming feeling that I had seen something I was never meant to see. I powered off the console, feeling shaken and disturbed. I wasn't sure what to make of the experience, but one thing was certain. This wasn't just a game anymore. It had become something far more sinister, something that felt like it was reaching out beyond the screen. And I couldn't help but wonder, what was the creator of this hack trying to accomplish? And what had I unknowingly unleashed by playing it? The final moments of the hack left me with a hollow sense of unease, as if I had been dragged to a surreal journey that was more than just a modified game. The narrative seemed to blur the line between fiction and a deeper, darker intent, as though the author of the hack had poured their twisted imagination directly into the code. I couldn't shake the haunting imagery of Mario descending into nothingness, symbolizing some ultimate punishment for his supposed actions. The deliberate design choices, giving Mario a mushroom to prevent entering certain doors, creating seemingly endless stretches of barren land, and constructing cryptic message boxes, felt like a commentary on futility and despair. Even after powering off the console and stepping away, the experience lingered. The thought that a simple ROM hack could evoke such an intense emotional response was both fascinating and unnerving. Was it all an elaborate prank, a dark storytelling experiment? Or was there something more sinister at work? The closing words of the hack, "It's only a hack, it can't hurt you, or can it?" felt like a direct challenge, almost daring me to question the boundaries of reality. I had played many hacks before, but this one was different. It wasn't about skill or completion. It was about diving into a psychological labyrinth that left me questioning not just the story within the game, but my own role in continuing to explore it. I shared my experience with the SMWC community, hoping to find solace or camaraderie, but the eerie silence that followed spoke volumes. It was as if my account resonated with something unspoken, something that many had felt but few dared to articulate. And as I typed up the documentation of my journey through this disturbing hack, I couldn't help but glance over my shoulder every so often, half expecting to see something lurking in the shadows. Because no matter how many times I reminded myself, it's only a hack, the unease remained.